Hey, what's up? I'm your host, Bob Thompson, and welcome to Unleashing Greatness, the #1 show for people who are ready to finally start or scale their own business and do it successfully. Over the last 9 years, I've scaled my little basement business to 15 plus locations and several other businesses, but it hasn't been without trial and error and lots of adversity. I'm here to share with you the strategies and tools that actually work when running a business and how not to lose yourself while doing it. So if you're ready to unleash the greatness within you, let's dive into today's show. Hey, what's going on? So I'm recording this on the Monday of the Thanksgiving week. So Friday's Black Friday, Monday's Cyber Monday. And I figured it would be a good time to talk about Black Friday sales, especially as it considers the gym industry. So welcome back to Unleashing Greatness. I think today's going to be a pretty good one. So if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple iTunes, I want to dig in because really what I recommend and really believe what gym owners should be doing during this Black Friday season or, sales season, so to speak, what we should be doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing and how it's really going to impact you. And unfortunately, this is also something that I had to learn the hard way. I also, if you see me looking down, it's because I have notes. I just got back from a weekend trip. I went to an event in Dallas, and I wanted to record this, even though you're going to be listening or watching this after kind of everything happens. But there's still tons of holidays and stuff like that's going to come up. So at least you can kind of think about what you're doing and why you're doing it, so that hopefully you don't, if you're doing what I recommend not doing, you don't kind of screw that up. And also just because, generally speaking, after traveling or anything like that, I'm just a little bit of a brain fog. So I want to have my notes to look down on because this whole thing isn't exactly planned. I kind of was thinking about it as I was taking a shower this morning and thought it would be cool to share. So with Black Friday sales coming up, I'm seeing that a lot of gym owners, are being taught that here's a great time to get a ton of cash in your business, which is, it's true. It's an easy time to do discounted paid in fulls, discounted sales or anything like that. And people are going to be signing up because people are currently looking for deals. They're looking for sales. So generally speaking, they're going to be like, hey, if you think about human psychology, people are looking for sales. Now is a good time to give them those sales because they're ready to buy. And I think that's a terrible thing. I think that for your gym, that is thinking about really the short term and not about the long term. And when you're running a business, we want to take a step back before we do decisions that maybe we don't understand the long-term consequences of, and think about, hey, what was the vision that I set up for this business? What was the whole reason for this? And how is what I'm doing today going to get me closer to that? So obviously we talked about having, thinking about just really in 12-week cycles and really focusing on 1 to 3 things over that long term. But we want to make sure everything that we're doing is getting us closer to our long-term goal. One of the things that I love about the fitness industry, or really my goal when I look at any business, is having recurring revenue. So I will be talking today about, in essence, why you're going to be screwing the golden egg of your business, which is that recurring revenue, by offering these paid in full specials, especially because a lot of them I'm seeing are like heavily discounted, which just, again, that also then trains your buyer to only buy on a discount. In their mind, they think you're a discounted service, and really to thrive in the micro gym industry, you need to be a premium service, something that we're kind of recovering from, some of my gyms. But regardless of that, the goal, so if we think about like, hey, I set this business up generally to get some sort of freedom. Now we're talking about the gym space, so that is going to be the recurring, the more, so let me take a step back and let my ADD get back in check. To get the freedom is your goal. That's the vision. That's why you have this business, not to have to work harder and harder and harder. One of the best ways to do that, and why I love this business, is with recurring revenue. So if you have 150, 200, 250, 300 members that are paying something every single month, hey, that's how much I'm getting in. And if that is already putting you in the profit or even hitting you to your goals of what you wanted to take home from that business, then life is pretty good and pretty stress-free So we want to make sure that the actions we're taking aren't going to be creating more stress for the future you in the long term. So circling back, that's why I believe it's really important not to do discounted paid in fulls for Black Friday, even though you will be able to get a large cash influx, but you'll be taking care of the you now, but be creating a bigger problem for you in the future. So I was at an event this weekend. It was actually about like finance and crypto from Nick Peterson, and he was referring to one of his partners, Dan Nicholson, and I was reading, his book on the flight home, and talked about, generally speaking, the largest. Hopefully, I'm probably quoting this wrong. The largest sales months in a business lead to, in like 3 months' time, the worst cash positions for said business. So, I've experienced that personally. Back in, I think 2017 might have been the first time I did a Black Friday sale. I saw a bunch of gym owners that I knew. They were doing, these paid in full specials. Some of them were doing like pay in full for 1 year, get this discount, pay in full for the next year, get this discount, or for 2 years and get this discount. And, so I didn't really do it. I think I did like maybe a handful. I think I did 5 or 10. I was like, hey, I just want to have 5 or 10 of these paid in fulls. And so I did it that year, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic. And then like 2018, maybe I did a lot. Actually, maybe that was 2016. 2018 or 17, I probably did a bunch, because then 2018, I did a shit ton of paid in full specials that then crushed me in 2019. We probably sold. Now, this number's not going to be 100% accurate, but probably between 200 to 250 between my 8 locations paid in full specials. The minimum on every location sold was like 10. Now, generally, at first I was like, hey, just 10 per location. Then we moved up to 15, then we moved to 20. We had some locations sell 30, 40 paid in full specials because they were no brainers and are super freaking cheap. I was just pulling a number out of my butt that if I got a bunch of them, it'd be a nice chunk of cash, but not really thinking about, does this make sense? And how's it going to be impacting me in the future? Because also I was just like, hey, whatever we sell now, these current members, we're just going to sell a ton of new people anyway, which is flawed thinking if we think about what is the long-term goal of the business, which is if I can really have this stacked recurring revenue, then who cares if I have to sell a ton of new people in the front end? Because I already have all these people, and I can be creating a better experience for them and focusing on them, because we're not worrying about having to sign up a ton of new people. As a result, it's going to create more referrals, more new people from referrals, from ads, and the business is going to grow at a much more significant rate. Anyway, wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about how much money can I make in this business right now, which is also, if that's the point of view, probably not a great point of view with your business, especially when you're serving customers or have recurring customers, and it's a really service-based business. So we did the Black Friday sale. Then we did like a Cyber Monday sale. Then we did like 12 days of Xmas and did a bunch of sales then. And we had some more paid in fulls then. Then like February, we did even more paid in fulls because we had to at that point in time. And I'll tell you why. So when we did it, like we freaking crushed it. We had in November, we had just an absolutely monster month where we did hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was a record month, hundreds of thousands of dollars in profit, more than the previous year. And we were significantly higher than the previous months because we had all of these paid in fulls. Now, come January, looking back at it, I remember looking at the numbers, I ended up losing $100,000 in January. And you're like, what? How can that happen? You just absolutely crushed it. Our client acquisition actually was really good, yet we still lost money in January, which then I did another paid in full special for Valentine's Day in February, which then had a trickle effect on later months, because what I was doing, because obviously I had already been doing paid in fulls, was I was cannibalizing my recurring revenue. And also at the same time, I was devaluing my service, because now I was conditioning people that they could get it for super cheap, which right then and there, that means they were waiting for the deals. They were waiting for the specials. I was working with a large volume of people in my gyms. You might only have 100 or 150 or 200, 250. Like, I think my top location during that time had close to 500 members. So, we were teaching them like, hey, they can wait for a discount, and a discount's going to come, because I think it was, I don't know, 18 or 19. We did like 4 paid in full specials over the year because it was such a great cash influx. And I also was like, hey, our ads are going to absolutely crush. We're always adding new people. Think about what you can control, not hopes and dreams. And, then it bit me in the butt. Also, while they were conditioning to wait for specials, it also devalued what we had. Because now they were paying a significantly cheaper price. Because I wasn't even like, hey, I'm going to do this paid in full special, which I'll tell you how I recommend doing it in a bit, at a certain percentage off. It was just a super cheap chunk or a large chunk off, so that like it was a no-brainer. People would pay. It was a large chunk of money, and things would look good on paper for at least that month. So the reason I share that is all those paid in fulls, if you have, I don't know, sophisticated buyers that absolutely love your business and they realize they can get it for a super large chunk off, they're going to do it. And then they're going to do it every single year. We had people, because then I also didn't put like enough restrictions. So I didn't think about this. I was just thinking about, money, restrictions on it, that we had people buying like multiple paid in fulls. They were stacking it for years on these freaking discounts. So it crushed the recurring revenue for those locations. Mind you, especially now, like we're looking even at pricing. I'll do another video on pricing, of increasing pricing. So we had a decent price level. Then it was discounting more. And then they were just buying stacks of discounts, which over time, I think I had 2 locations that were 50% or 60% paid in full. Now you're probably thinking, hey, I wouldn't be that stupid. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, you're a better person than me. Good for you. But I'm warning you that could potentially happen. So right now, what is super common is to do these Black Friday specials to give tons of discounts. And I think that's an absolutely terrible decision. In fact, one of the business rules that I lived by and then I got away from, and it's a business and personal rule, is to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Because generally by doing that is where you're going to find success, both in the short term and the long term. So everybody right now is preaching, do these discounts. I saw somebody doing like a year for a membership of like, it ended up being like $97 a month. And then they gave 2-year deal where you paid in full. And as a result, like they're giving these large discounts at a price point that really creates an impossible profit situation for the gym, but completely devalues their business. Now, if you're doing a large discount, there's a couple things you want to think about. Or, you know what? Before I get to that, obviously, as you can see, if you're watching this, I'm looking at my notes. I want to actually just take a step back and just remind, if you have a gym or you have a business that has repeat customers, the goal is recurring revenue over instant revenue. So thinking about returning customers over one-time customers. This is if you have a gym, a supplement product, skincare product, so this is the philosophy I take to any of the businesses that I'm working on, the agency, all that stuff. Returning customers, long-term gain as opposed to short-term gain. So a lot of marketers think about how much money can I get out of somebody now and in the short term, because I'm not going to have them in the long term. But if you have a really, really good product or service, your thinking should be, how do I keep this person for years? Because that can really happen in the gym business. That's what happens at my gyms. That's what happens when I talk to some of the best personal trainers. They have these customers for years, so they're going to keep coming. So we want to think about, how do we maximize the gym for the long term and not the short term? If you have supplements and you just discount it, now you're going to be reducing your margin. But yeah, you're like, oh, well, they're only going to buy 3 months. Well, how can you get better so that they buy for 12 months? So that they refer it to everybody else? That's the mindset we want to think about, as opposed to how can we get as much money as quick as possible. And that's why, as a result, I am very against doing discounts, especially large paid in full discounts on Black Friday for gyms or really any business. And instead, what I prefer to focus on is, if you're even going to do something, it's to add value. Focus on, at this time, how can we add value and give them deals in that way without sacrificing our price or the value of the business or the service or the product in and of itself. So what are maybe some bonuses and add-ons that you can put on that's not going to reduce your monthly membership cost. Or if you're a gym owner, might actually get them interested in ascending into a higher tier or buying more products like supplements that you're going to be selling. We want to think about, again, going back to what's the long-term plan for this business for you? Why did you set it up? If you have one gym, you're generally speaking going to be hoping to get a good chunk of money off of that gym and then maybe essentially sell, down the road when you're ready for the next part of your life. Or just, hey, I have now a career that I absolutely freaking love. Or maybe you have multiple gyms. Again, you can sell those multiple gyms down the road. But no matter the business, we want to focus on increasing value for our current customers. As a result of that, they will become repeat customers and our largest referral source. And especially for fitness, centers or even supplements or any of that stuff, like the more word of mouth marketing you can have, the better off your business is going to be. People are telling everybody, hey, you need to go, hey, you need to go, hey, you need to go. That is going to trump a discount that they see on Facebook or an email or something like that. Now, I'm not saying don't do discounts. So if you're going to do discounts, I'm also not saying don't do paid in fulls. If you're going to do paid in fulls, have some strict regulations around it. So even if you are going to run a paid in full specials, only have it where it's like 10% off and really limit it, because you really, in my opinion, don't want more than 10% of your customers on a paid in full. Some people will want to pay paid in full. That's cool. You can give them the option 10% and cap it and really limit it. Most people will be totally cool paying weekly or just recurring buying for the supplements every single month or whatever it is. So just think about the long term and how can, if I need to make sure that they keep coming back, how do I keep adding value? How do I make this the best thing ever that they don't want to leave? So having that strict thing there, because if you are going to do, large paid in full discounts, you actually have to know your numbers really well. And most gym owners I've just talked with don't. If you're going to do a paid in full special where let's say you're charging like $150 or $200 a month. And, so it's $2,400 or $1,800 for the year. Then all of a sudden you do a $1,000 paid in full special. Yeah, it's going to be really enticing. People are going to buy. And it might be good if that that your customers leave after like 5 months. But if you have something that's going to stay for the year or 2 years, and you're significantly reducing, you're cutting your profit in half almost, then why would you do such a thing? Because they're going to be there. Now you're only impacting your business because you still have to serve those people. Generally speaking, those large discounted paid in fulls or whatever are going to be because the company knows that the churn for their customer, whether it be product or service, is going to happen around that point or maybe a little bit later. So it sounds like a deal now, but they're actually making more money off of them because they know that their customers don't stick. With the gym, we want to get our customers to stick. We are not, or at least generally when I speak, not Planet Fitness, these big box gyms that can have, 10,000 members at $20, $10 a month, and then have other service and stuff on top. We're going to have a very small portion. You're going to have 150, 250 members, from what it looks like on average for most gyms. Some will be pushing a lot higher, but if they're paying it at a higher price, then the gym is still going to be super healthy. And we want those customers to continue. We don't want to have to constantly, especially for many years, have to search for new people. Yeah, there is an easy solution for that. But we want to prevent that. Again, if we think about, hey, our recurring revenue for the gym can then create that freedom quotient that we want, and then new sales, supplements, all that is just an add-on on top of it and an even healthier business, then let's make sure we don't screw with that for short-term gain. So for Black Friday, instead of doing a large discounted membership or Cyber Monday, or if you're doing some sort of special during December or like Valentine's Day when we did one as well, think about, hey, how can I not discount my services and add value? What are some other things that I could potentially do? What is maybe something I'm launching that I can get them on? What is, if I offer supplements at the gyms, how can I create some sort of package deal with a sweet label that speaks about the current problem they're having, that it'll entice them more to get that and essentially buy more product, as opposed to being like, hey, this product is 25% off or some large discount by one time. And then they're like, oh, when's the next discount going to happen? Also, if you are, just another random tangent, if you're not cannibalizing your current membership and customer base to get these discounts, that means the people you're attracting only want discounts if that's when they're going to decide to purchase. That's not the kind of person that you want in your ecosystem. You don't want people that want more for less. Yeah, that's really nice in theory, but they're the ones who constantly complain, don't really care for your stuff. And I'm speaking especially as a gym owner, like the clients that we always had that paid the least, they wanted more, they expected more, but they also didn't have enough ownership and accountability for their part of it. Like they weren't then putting in the work, putting in the nutrition, taking the supplements and to ensure that they were going to guarantee themselves the highest rate of success. They thought it should all be done for them. And they're like, oh, I'm doing this. I should have all this, and that. And then also, like, I just think about one gym I have in mind where then, because we had a lot of these customers just way too cheap of memberships, they just wouldn't even respect the equipment. They would throw it against the weights against the walls, let it chip, not put, equipment away, not clean up after themselves. Like when you have too heavy of a discount, people don't value it and they won't treat it as if it's their own, which means they're not going to put as much care to it. So that's not the kind of person that you want to attract if they're already not in your existing customer base. So a lot of times what I'm talking about here, you add, with these discounts, you might reactivate former members, former challengers, if that's part of your gym model, or, if you're a supplement company, past buyers and stuff like that. So like, there's okay if they're already familiar and give them a little bit of a discount and capping it, in my opinion. But if it's too large and this is a new person, then they're only going to want discounts and they're not going to really truly care about the service. And they're probably not going to put that effort in and get the results that you want, which is then going to speak for your gym or your product and create recurring buyers. But it also will cannibalize your current base because then they're going to only want to buy during discounts and they get frustrated, essentially, when you look at the numbers and you're like, shit, I can't continue this. I need to make some changes. So I want to leave you on this, and I'm looking down on this. A lot of times what you want to do in business is the opposite of what everybody else is doing, because we want to focus on long-term, and human nature oftentimes is for that long-term delayed gratification is extremely hard. So most people are going to do short-term. So if you're looking at what your competitors are doing, which I don't recommend, oftentimes they don't know what the hell they're doing anyway. So now you're competing and following people that don't know what they're doing. So don't try and just copy the competition of somebody else is doing, especially if you don't know their level of success. And ultimately do the opposite of what everybody else is doing. That in itself will attract people to you. If everybody's offering discounts and you're like, hell no, I'm not doing that. We don't discount our stuff. We're too damn good. They'll be like, oh, well, how do I get that? Because also part of human nature is to essentially feel better than everybody else. And by them having that higher tier stuff, it's going to make them feel better and feel like other people are going to look up to them. So doing the opposite will also be healthier in the long term for your business. But you have to be able to practice that delayed gratification. And ultimately for me, it's all about returning customers over one-time customers. In the gym, that's having them on, subscription for supplements, skincare products. That's having them on becoming returning customers and buying the product again and again, or even getting on subscription. So with that was my recommendation when especially comes to Black Friday. You're probably going to be watching this on YouTube or listening on iTunes or Spotify after this comes out. But just think about how moving forward, how can I approach this? How when there's a holiday time, which is a great time to put a special out there, how can I create a special that's going to add value instead of take value away with a discount, especially in price? Because that's generally speaking how most people do it. And if you're discounting on price, maybe it's also a sign that, hey, I need to go take a look at confidence and sales and marketing and a belief in myself so that I don't discount stuff as my only option to sell, because then that's not a good place you want to be. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Probably not as structured. I'm recording this, after that long trip, but hope there was some value in it for you. And if you did like it, I would really appreciate it if you shared it with somebody you think would get value out of it as well. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Please leave a review. And until next time.
Hey, thanks for spending your time with me today. I made this show to help people just like you overcome the challenges and adversity that come with entrepreneurship. So if you know someone that could truly benefit from today's show, please be sure to share this episode with them. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week on Unleashing Greatness.